Ladies, gents, thems, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Ash Morgan, and this is my girlfriend, the Daddy Mac.
Please call me that and by nothing else.
Yeah. Here on this channel, we cover all things conspiracies, actually interesting history, and true crime stories. So come along, follow along if you want to be a part of that. Cheers to that. Today, we decided to create a little segment that I like to call Tipsy Lesbian History. Like drunk history, but lesbians telling it.
Lesbian version, so automatically more fun.
Automatically, yes. Today, I've got a cider because I think I'm actually allergic to gluten from a little test that I took, so that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. I'm drinking beer.
Yep. And you can think of us as your tipsy lesbian aunties. Your rich, eccentric, well-traveled tipsy lesbian aunties.
Yeah, on our way to being that.
We for sure will be someday,
Yeah.
so just imagine us
Just
in our
pretend
full
for now.
prime,
Yeah,
okay?
you gotta visualize it.
Your gay aunties are here to tell you a story of intrigue. The intriguing story of the day is Abraham Lincoln. Most of us don't know the full extent of his interesting life. Okay, Mac, what do you know about Abraham Lincoln off the top of your head?
He was the 16th president, am I right? He's the 16th president. He was really tall. He got assassinated. His wife was kind of quote unquote crazy according to those times back then. I don't know. I watched a movie a long time ago when I was younger, and he like threatened to send her to the loony bin. So he had kind of a crazy wife according to history, like I said, quote unquote. And then I think his son died too. I know like some random stuff here and there about him, but basically he was a good president from what I've heard, who also ended slavery. Am I correct?
Yes, he abolished slavery.
So that's what I know about him.
Overall, a great guy.
Yeah.
He was also, fun fact, the first Republican president. So I guess you could say he was the father of the Republican Party, which is what makes this story today just so much juicier. We got that goss for you today, okay? Not only did he abolish slavery and wear a big hat and get assassinated, he also may have been gay.
Dun-dun-dun.
We know that he was married to a woman, so I guess we have to start with the assertion that he is straight until proven gay. I hate that mentality. I don't think that we should just assume everyone's straight, but he was married to a woman.
But also so was everybody back then.
So was I. I was married to a man and I'm a lesbian, so I mean, it happens.
It doesn't mean that that's what you are, so.
Yeah, it happens. We in society, even just for me, I feel like society is so straight-washed and it teaches you to like, you know, to be straight. So imagine the 1800s.
Yeah, back then you didn't really have a choice, I feel like.
No,
There was
there's
no
not really
such
an
thing.
option. Yeah. So Abe Lincoln was always super awkward and kind of uncomfy around girls, not very good at talking to them. His own stepmother even said...
Why did that remind me of you?
Okay, we were both awkward around girls, I guess. His own stepmother even was quoted saying that he was not very fond of girls, as it seemed to me. So, kind of suspicious.
Slightly questionable. I don't know, Abe Lincoln.
Yeah, I don't know. So, before we start really getting into the evidence that would make us assume that, you know, maybe our beloved 16th president was not so straight, let's first take a little, like, step forward in the future to when people first started even speculating that he was gay, okay?
Let's hear it. Give us the deets.
I will. So, oh yeah, I don't know if we told you guys, but I'm telling the story. Mac is here for the drunk commentary.
Yeah.
I
don't really know anything about it, so I'm gonna find out as you guys do when she's telling it,
So expect some live reactions.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the 1920s, the gay rights movement sparked a lot of interest with people. They started thinking, okay, well, apparently people are gay these days, which makes me wonder, have people always been gay? Who else has been gay? So people started really looking into historical figures and public figures, being like,
Question mark.
are they a little fruity? I don't know. Hence, in 1926, this caused biographer Carl Sandburg to write, I think he wrote a whole biography about him, and he was quoted as saying that Abraham Lincoln and this man, Joshua Frye, had a relationship that was having a streak of lavender and spots soft as May violets.
That sounds kind of gay to me.
Yes, very gay. That was definitely gay terminology back in the day.
Oh.
However, He did not exactly list any proof. He just kind of like put that out there, and everyone was
Okay,
like,
so
oh.
this was an author in present day.
Nope, 1926.
Oh, in 1926.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yes.
And when was Abraham Lincoln alive again?
In like the 18, yeah, well, he was, 18, I don't know when he was born, but he was like 1840s.
So this was after he died. He was investigating his
Yes. Mm-hmm.
life.
Okay, so he was the first one to kind of like sow some seeds of doubt into whether he was fully straight, okay? The second person to assert that he may not be so straight was a playwright named Larry Kramer in 1999. He claimed to have found letters between Joshua Frye and Abraham Lincoln detailing their romantic and sexual relationship. And he said that he found these underneath the floorboard of Abraham Lincoln and Joshua Frye's shared home.
Do you think that's true?
I truly don't know. We should do some research on it, but
Guys, please tell us if anybody knows more
nobody
info.
knows. That's the annoying thing. Nobody knows. I am really frustrated because I'm like, why has nobody like carbon dated these or whatever to like double check? But a lot of historians were like, those are most certainly a hoax, is what they said. But I don't think there was ever any proof that they actually were a hoax.
They would say that.
Nobody actually cared to take the time to actually check and see if they were valid.
Oh.
Because who fucking wants Abraham Lincoln to be gay? Can you
Yeah.
imagine
The whole
outrage and the horror?
Republican Party be turned upside down.
Yeah, they would be terrified.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it didn't end there, okay? So in 2005, a sexologist or sex researcher named C.A. Tripp, who also was a protege of Alfred Kinsey, if you've heard of the Kinsey scale to
Cool guy.
determine your queerness, he was a protege of Alfred Kinsey, and he released this whole big old biography about Abraham Lincoln called The Intimate World of Abraham Lincoln. And it got intimate, let me tell you. In his biography, he asserts that Abraham Lincoln was a homosexual, okay? That he was full-on gay. That is his assertion based off of and I'm talking C.A. Tripp literally took every single letter or thing that Abraham Lincoln had ever written his entire life, anything about him. He combed through everything and took every tiny little like detail that he could get. And he came to the assertion, this bitch is gay. I mean, a lot of people were really intrigued, but a lot of people were really pissed. Including David Herbert Donald. This little bitch, okay, just keeps on coming up. He has found a argument for everything, okay? He is so anti the fact that Abraham Lincoln could be gay. And honestly, a lot of his arguments don't make sense. I will keep on reading them to you. I will tell you all the things, all the facts that we have learned, and all of his dumbass little arguments to defend Abraham Lincoln's manhood.
His whole
manliness.
heterosexuality.
Yes, because heaven knows you just can't be manly and a great person when you're gay.
That just doesn't align.
We're going to refer to him as Donald by his last name. Donald
Oh gosh.
really truly was like, bitch, no, I'm sorry. Your book, inaccurate. You want to know what? There's one big fallacy that you are missing here as to why he is not actually gay and you think he is gay. It's because you don't understand the times. It was super normal for men to sleep together in the same bed back in the 1800s, okay? Because they couldn't afford the luxury of having their own bed and their own space back in that day, okay? But let's go back into history, okay? We're going back in time. We're about to get all the facts now, okay? So Abraham Lincoln meets this man, Joshua Frye, in 1837 when he is a member of the House of Representatives, okay? He comes walking into Frye's general store, I think it was. He owned like a store, and he asked for room and board. There was like places to rent out on top. There were no more places to rent out. But then apparently Joshua Frye was like, well, I do have a bed in my room that you can share with me for a discounted rate. And Abraham Lincoln was like, sounds perfect.
That's kind of spicy.
It's real
What?
spicy. Yeah.
Okay.
They lived together for 4 years. In the same room, in the same bed. Now, I will say, it was more common in the 1800s. People were poor and people were less weird about that stuff. However, for 4 years straight, you didn't have that money and you like lived, that seems like a long time to live in such like kind of awkward living situations.
Like close quarters of the
Yeah,
person.
and a lot of historians even say that. They're like, it's kind of like getting past that level of where it's like, that's kind of a long time to be bachelors together in the same bed. Also, I feel like it'd be the perfect ruse if people aren't really weird about it back then. It's like the perfect situation to like go unnoticed for 4 years.
I would use that to my benefit, absolutely.
1,000,000%. So a lot of historians believed that Abraham Lincoln was in love with this girl named Anne Rutledge. He was obsessed with her, and Abraham Lincoln is actually known for having a decent amount of depression in his life. He had multiple like decently long depressive episodes. A lot of historians think that a lot of his depression stems from this girl Anne Rutledge that they are like sure that he was in love with. However, Mr. Tripp, who wrote this whole autobiography about him, tries to discount that because he's like, wait a second, guys, let's do the math here. You guys just like assumed that he was in love with Anne Rutledge. One person told you that, and you're like, yeah, great, that's fact. Anne Rutledge was actually engaged to another man at the same time that historians think that Abraham Lincoln and her had a whole thing. So I mean, I guess it could, no matter what, it's spicy. I mean, they could have had a thing while she was married, while she was engaged to this guy, but the timelines just don't add up, and like their correspondences with each other are not happening at that time. Like there's not really any letters or anything between them in this time period before he starts going into a big depression, and people think that it has to do with her.
Was she like trying to go after him, do you know? Or was he trying to go after her? Does it say anything?
I'm not sure. All I know was from reading my research, Mr. Tripp claims that the timelines don't even add up, that this whole Anne Rutledge thing might not even be a thing, that they might have kind of like fabricated that or assumed that, but there's not really any evidence, according to him, to show that they actually were even involved.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe she was a cover-up. Or maybe he was faced with the dilemma. Maybe she liked him, but like he was obviously gay, and then like had this whole situation where he had to kind of like decide what he was gonna do, and it made him depressed.
Possible. According to Mr. Tripp, and Mr. Tripp, bear in mind, he went through and combed through every single letter that Abraham Lincoln, that was ever like published from Abraham Lincoln.
Dang,
her name does not appear in any of his letters in this time period at all. So that's kind of strange. Why would you not be talking to your pals about this girl that you're like obsessed with?
That's true.
I think supposedly she died, and that's what it was supposed to have put him into this intense depression. But C.A. Tripp counters that, and he claims, the timeline here all gets very messy, okay? So apparently, according to historians, he's obsessed with this other girl, Anne Rutledge. Well, around that same time period, he's meeting Mary Todd, the girl that he ends up marrying. They date for a little bit. They get engaged within a year of knowing each other. But then he ends up breaking off the engagement. And he calls this, the day that he broke off his engagement with her, he called it the fatal first. It was the first day of the month in like January or something. He called it the fatal first, and that's when he like spiraled into depression. Well, let's take a little background here. At the exact same time that he had broken off his engagement with Mary, his little friend Joshua Frye had sold his shop and moved away to go get married to this girl named Fanny. Okay, this is all happening at the exact same time.
No.
That seems a little suspicious to me, that he spirals into a depression and breaks off an engagement at the same time that his good friend and roommate just like happens to move away. He goes into deep depression.
Is a really good point.
It's a little spicy, a little interesting if you ask me.
Also, who broke off the engagement? Was it Mary or was it
Abraham Lincoln? Yeah.
Why would he be spiraling because of that if he broke it off?
He broke it off and then avoided her like the plague for a hot sec.
Questionable.
Yeah.
Very questionable.
Yes. And then his homeboy still went off and did his thing and got married. Like he didn't come back.
Homeboy.
Apparently he like kind of like was there for him through his depression and stuff, and they're like writing to each other, and I think he came and visited him and stuff. It just was a whole very messy situation.
I mean, okay, but also if you look at the history, I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen Gentleman Jack. Me and Ash watched that together and we loved it. I don't know how exactly historically accurate that is, but it's like that was a common trope with gay people back in the day, is like they were gay in secrecy, but then they eventually had to get married. Like that was just a thing you did. Like you were just like, I can't be like alone the rest of my life.
You can't literally live in the shame of like staying with your partner for forever.
Yeah, like you'd be so weird, and like honestly, there was probably like super hefty consequences if if someone found out that you were doing that. So like
if you think people are homophobic now.
Yeah, back then it was even way more hardcore stories. So in Gentleman Jack, it's the series that we watched.
I'm actually gonna cover that in one of our series coming up this month.
I loved it. It's so good. But it's like they're back in the day. It's these lesbian couples, and some of her lovers, I think 2 of her lovers ended up getting like
probably
they broke
more
up.
than that even. But
yeah, probably. But like they ended up breaking up because
To go
they
get married
decided,
to a man.
yeah, because they had to go get married, and so it was just that actually makes
It's
perfect
just what
sense.
you do. It's not
for
what you
Abraham
want.
Lincoln. Yeah, like
Yeah.
he just had to get married. That's the thing he had to do. So
It's quite unfortunate.
this
yeah.
is spicy. I like it.
Yeah, and they continued to write letters to each other, him and Joshua Speed, up until Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. They never stopped
Dang.
corresponding. And, even better, here's a quote that Speed said. "Till 1842, no two men were ever more intimate. Our friendship and intimacy closed only with his life." One could say that different words were used back in the day. Maybe intimate wasn't such a spicy word back then, but
They're just like extra, extra, extra.
no two
good
men were
BFFs.
ever that intimate as they were. So then he ends up getting back with Mary. They get married, okay? But don't you be thinking that all his gay activities ended with his marriage. Nay, nay.
No. Why would
Oh,
it?
nay, nay. During his presidency, he met his bodyguard, David Derrickson, okay? And they got real chummy real fast. So David Derrickson was only his bodyguard for 7 months, okay? And after that, at that point, he ended up getting promoted and moving away, basically. Mr. Donald, the historian that's very anti-gay,
Mr.
Abraham
Homophobic.
Lincoln. Yes, Mr. Homophobic Donald. Before we even get into the juice, his theory on this was like, well, like, why would Abraham Lincoln have just like let him like leave that easily and just like let him get promoted and leave if they were involved? And to me, I'm thinking, okay, well, there's a lot of reasons. First of all, they could have broken up. That could have gotten very messy very fast. Second of all, Mary, remember her? She could have found some stuff out and been really pissed about it and given him
being married.
yeah, and given him an ultimatum. Or let me just tell you that there were rumors going on about Abraham Lincoln and his bodyguard, okay? Back in the day, reported rumors in people's diaries, okay? So let me just let me give you the juice about him,
Yeah, let's
about
hear
Abraham
it.
and Mr. Derrickson. And you can tell me if you think that they were just platonic and he just, got promoted and left, or if there was some spicy drama that ended everything. I have to read these because these are quotes. These are quotes from people of the time. So, Elizabeth Woodbury Fox, who was the wife of Lincoln's naval aide, wrote in her diary, okay? Tish says, "Oh, there is a bucktail soldier here devoted to the president. Drives with him, and when Mrs. L is not home, sleeps with him. What stuff?" Okay.
Yeah, what stuff?
Whenever his wife is out of town, he sleeps in the same bed with him.
Oh, man.
Okay, we'll unpack that in a second, but real fast, at the end she says, "What stuff?" which was an exclamation in the 1800s, okay, of like absurdity. However, Mr. Homophobic Donald is like, she said, "What stuff?" which was saying that it was just a rumor and she didn't believe it and it was like dumb. I think, okay, any girl who's writing this in her journal and is saying like, "Oh shit," or "What stuff?" is like, "Oh fuck," like that is some juicy
Yeah,
goss,
why would she care about it otherwise?
She's writing this down and she's like, "Shit, this is what I heard. Like, that is some juicy goss." That's what I think. I don't think she's saying that it's not true. The way she said that makes it really sound like she was like,
if I heard about it back in the day, I'd be writing the same thing. I'd be like,
1,000,000%.
oh.
1,000,000%. Oh, and it doesn't end there. It gets even, just like one more element of juice
Let's hear it.
comes to light. So, Derrickson's commanding officer said, "Captain Derrickson, in particular, advanced so far in the president's confidence and esteem that in Mrs. Lincoln's absence, he frequently spent the night at his cottage, sleeping in the same bed with him and, it is said, making use of His Excellency's nightshirts."
Huh?
Just some friend stuff. Just wearing each other's
Just
clothes to
BFFs.
bed. Just like taking off their clothes, putting on new clothes in the nighttime together, in the bed they're sleeping in together.
Yeah. That's pretty gay.
That's real gay. I'm
That's pretty
sorry.
gay.
So, Mr. Donald, you say that it is normal for men back in the day to sleep together for financial reasons and stuff. Okay, this is the President of the United States.
This is unnecessary.
This is a married man.
This is
Man
unnecessary.
living in the White House.
Yeah.
He has money. He has space. He has a wife. He does not need his bodyguard to be sleeping in the same bed as him.
Mm-hmm.
What bodyguard sleeps in the same bed as you? No one. He
Yeah.
has his own room, probably close by to like hear if anything's going on, but that is not normal to sleep in the same
And
bed.
did any of his other bodyguards? That wasn't a thing with any. It was just this dude.
Not that we know of, no.
Yeah.
Whenever Mary was away, they slept.
That was
in the
all
same
I
room.
know. That was the only.
And
time,
that's
too.
after
It's
only
different.
he was only his bodyguard for 7 months. That makes me feel like they got real chummy real fast. Like, what
Real
bodyguard
chummy, real-
are you, like, who are you that close with that fast that you're literally just like having a slumber party like whenever your girl is out of town? So yeah, I think that ended real nasty, okay? I think that Mary was not about it. And who can blame her? Poor gal.
Well, if she found out that he was sleeping in his bed
Yeah.
when she was gone, like,
Yeah.
That's, I mean, understandably.
1,000,000%.
I'd be a little upset if you were doing that when I was in town. So it makes sense.
Yep. Okay, these are not the only 2 men that Abraham Lincoln has slept with in his life, okay, that is documented. So I'm just going to have to look at my notes here to, like, give you the exact dates. So Abraham slept with another man named Billy Green, okay? If you didn't know, Abraham Lincoln used to be a lawyer, actually. So he was a lawyer, and his law partner's name was William Herndon. Herndon? Don't know how to fully say that. Well, his friend William Herndon said that this man, Billy Green, that Abraham slept with, he said that Green told him that Lincoln's thighs were as perfect as a human being's could be.
Okay. This is so gay. Every single thing that all these people are saying are so gay. Nobody would just say that about another person of the same sex.
No, like your friend that you're just like spending the night with.
Like thighs.
His
too.
thighs are the
thighs.
nicest thighs I ever saw.
And also, if you think about men, like how manly men are supposed to be and how kind of like at an arm's length they're supposed to be, like with each other, like no man, even in today's society, would say like he had the best thighs I've ever seen in my life. Like,
no.
That's not a thing.
No. Especially not in the 1800s. I'm sorry. No.
Totally gay. 100% gay. That is absolutely gay. Also, how did he see his thighs, huh? They're always supposed to be wearing, back in those days, they were wearing the longest clothes, like not showing a single thing on their body, so he had to be getting pretty close if he was looking at them, so.
Very close.
All around.
Also, this one's, this could go multiple ways, I guess, but another one of Lincoln's fellow lawyers, Harry C. Whitney, observed once that Lincoln wooed me to close intimacy and familiarity. So, I mean, that could mean anything, truly. But it just kind of it just seems interesting that people said that, he's kind of awkward around women, yet he's out here just being all wooey and charming with all the guys. It's kind of interesting to me.
That is super intriguing.
Circling back to Miss Mary Todd Lincoln. So, this woman named Jean Baker, she devoted her whole life to Mary Todd Lincoln, okay? She wrote a whole biography, Mary Todd Lincoln, a biography. And she actually was quoted saying that Lincoln's homosexuality would explain his tempestuous relationship with Mary Todd. And some of her agonies and anxieties over their relationship.
Wait. She actually said homosexuality.
Mary didn't, but the girl, Jean,
the
girl who wrote the biography. Yeah, she said that, Lincoln being homosexual would make sense. It would explain why Mary Todd acted the way she was and why she was constantly in agony over their relationship.
Okay, and also if you guys remember what I said in the beginning, how I was like, oh yeah, I heard his wife was crazy, quote unquote. It was from a movie that I saw when I was in school, and it showed I don't know, I can't remember exactly what she was acting crazy over. But it would make sense that she would be very flustered. Because he was having these relationships with other people, aka men. So if they had a tumultuous relationship and she was crazy, it would make sense why.
That'd make me a little crazy too.
It would make sense why.
If your partner is cheating on you, no matter who it's with, but even back then, that's even extra spicy.
My old memories of Abe Lincoln are just combining with these new facts, and it's all actually really making sense. Okay,
so we already established that Jean Baker, who wrote an entire biography about Mary Todd Lincoln, really believed in this theory that he was gay and thought that it made a lot of sense in the relationship. Okay, now I'm going to read you a few more quotes from Miss Jean Baker that I feel are even more damning. Okay.
Ooh.
Some of the tempers emerged because Lincoln was so detached. But I previously thought he was detached because he was thinking great things about his court cases, his debates with Douglas. Now I see there is another explanation. The length of time when these men continued to sleep in the same bed and didn't have to was sort of an impropriety. Ooh! So obviously, Miss Jean Baker, she is a devout historian, okay? She
knew stuff.
She knows everything there is to know about his wife, okay? And so she knows a lot about that time period, and so she, I think, is a very credible source to say that is actually really strange that for this long, 4 whole years with Joshua Frye, and then 7 months when Abraham was already married and in the White House and not financially struggling and sleeping with another man is very strange.
It's totally different.
That's past the level of oh no, they were just friends and they were financially unstable,
For sure. No, absolutely not.
On to the kicker. Let's really end with a beautiful note, okay?
Okay, chef's kiss. Let's go.
So, Abraham Lincoln also wrote a poem about 2 men marrying each other, okay? We'll tell you a joke about Joel and Mary. It is neither a joke nor a story, for Reuben and Charles has married 2 girls, but Billy has married a boy. The girlies he had tried on every side, but none he could get to agree. All was in vain. He went home again, and since then is married to Natty. But Billy and Natty agreed very well, and Mama's well pleased at the match. Okay.
Abraham Lincoln wrote that.
Yes, when he was 20 years old. So some historians, like our boy Donald, have said that, he wrote that as like a joking rebuttal to not being invited to somebody's wedding. Okay, but then other historians have said he was known to be kind of irreverent, but it is still strange for a 20-year-old boy in the middle of the 1800s to write a poem about 2 men getting married. That wasn't normal.
Unless you were like wanting to experience that.
Even in jest, it just wasn't normal. It wasn't normal. So there's not really like, Mr. Donald, you can try to explain that away, but even back then that was weird to joke about.
Donald, you're clearly just homophobic at this point because his thighs.
Yeah.
Come on. That's all all you needed.
The kicker, the best part is that this poem was actually included in the first biography of Lincoln in 1889. William Herndon, his law partner, included it in the biography, but then it was expunged from the subsequent editions until 1942 when the editor Paul Engle restored it. So apparently it was in his first biographies, and then people were like, that sounds very gay.
That's a little gay.
We don't want to paint our president as a homosexual, so we're going to take that out. And then eventually someone was like, bitch, no, that is part of his story. That was definitely something that he wrote. That was one of his poems. We should put that back in.
That's so wild.
So just a little funny, just a little interesting.
Guys, that really sealed the coffin right there.
Yeah.
He's super gay. Who else? What straight man would be writing about stuff like that? Like, to be fully honest,
in the 1800s,
back in those days,
I'm sorry.
What straight man would be thinking about that subject enough that he would write about it? No.
He was at the very least bisexual, but I think with the time constraint, with the constraints of the time, it makes a lot of sense to me that he would be a gay man.
No, for sure.
Okay. What other options did he have?
Listen, the only time me as a lesbian I've ever been disconnected is when I was trying to date men. For that author, what was her name again?
Jean Baker,
to describe Abraham Lincoln as being disconnected from Mary, like, and also like he broke off the engagement with her, like didn't even really seem like he was fully into it and was like sleeping with this other guy or sleeping in the same bed as this like other guy during the whole time period. I don't know.
There's some pretty damning evidence in my personal opinion.
It's so gay. And like maybe
the thighs thing also sent me. I'm sorry.
That one sent me all the way over. I don't think he's bi. He was just doing what he had to do at the time, which was marry a woman. That was like what he was supposed to do. But he wrote a poem about marrying men. He didn't even like care for Mary that much, it seemed like, and was still sleeping with other men when she was out of town. Like,
which is very unfortunate for Mary. Honestly, I do feel very bad for Mary.
Oh, yeah, but not condoning it.
I feel bad for both of them. It was a very shitty situation.
Those are rough times, man. And
poor Mary got painted as the crazy one.
Seriously. And
for dealing with that whole situation. I don't blame her. I also don't blame Abe. To be fully honest, I don't blame them either. It just sucks. That time period sucked.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, and if anybody else has watched this movie that I've watched in high school, which I'm sure a lot of schools showed this movie, I can't remember what it's called, but I'm sure that they are familiar with her being painted to be like this crazy wife, like this neurotic wife who just was like freaking out about all these things all the time. And guess what? She probably was, but
good reason.
Probably because Abraham Lincoln was gay and sleeping with other men. Like, I would freak out. Not because he was gay, but like because he was being, disloyal. Like, of course, I'd be like, that's not chill, dude. Hearing all this stuff right now and thinking about Abraham Lincoln, like how I've learned about him in high school and middle school and whatever, I can really see him being gay. Like, not even just, like, hearing even just one piece of this evidence that we've learned today, just like hearing one piece of that, I'm like, I can like actually really see him being gay, because I heard all these stories growing up how he was like a little bit awkward, a little bit like, I don't know, he's like this super tall, like different, like kind of quirky guy. Like, I can totally see him being super gay. It's just like I just told Ash earlier. It's just like me when I was growing up and I was younger. I was
really out of focus. Okay, sorry.
Come here.
Continue.
Oh yeah. It's just like me when I was younger. I used to dress like a complete like a boy, not even a tomboy. I used to dress like a boy, and I wanted a very short haircut when I was younger.
We should insert a photo here.
No! Yeah, we should. That'd be great. I used to dress like a complete boy when I was younger. I didn't know I was gay at that time. Like, I just, like, thought that I was cool. Like, I liked to wear boy clothes, and I was, like, different. And I don't know, that was just my style. Looking back, I was so gay. But I didn't know it at the time. And this is exactly how I feel about Abraham Lincoln. When I learned about him in school, did I ever think he was gay? No. But hearing this and looking back, I'm like, for sure.
Yeah, you're saying just looking back on, like, how he looked and just, like, things you learned, you were just like,
no,
it makes sense.
Qualities. And, well, at the time I was learning about him, I wasn't even aware of my own sexuality. So, of course, I had no awareness,
Same.
like,
Who's
gay, who's not. You know what I mean? We're all so straight-washed when we're growing up that it's just, like, at least our generation, it's like, you know, you never think about those things.
Oh, yeah.
But now, having that insight that I did and hearing all this, I'm like, for sure. There's no way he wasn't.
My condolences go out to all of the Republicans who revere Mr. Abraham Lincoln as their Republican daddy. Who just love him so much. No, he just was
Republican daddy.
That was my own phrase. But just like some people think of him as like the father of the Republican Party, okay?
God,
you know, and I know a lot of Republicans who are just like obsessed with him. I mean, I think a lot of people are obsessed with him. He's great. You know? He like abolished slavery. That's amazing.
For sure. No, he's rad.
But just in general, I just think it's so beautiful that he created the Republican Party. So many Republicans love him. And I think he was a gay man. I truly believe that he was.
That is very beautiful. And you know what? Hey, there's nothing wrong with being Republican and being gay.
No.
What is wrong with that?
No.
Although
I hope that Republicans start thinking that.
Yes. I hope that is something going forward that can be a thing. But if you guys look up, we've looked this up together one time, like the Republican Party, like their national... It's like something you can look up online. It's like
their stance on everything.
Yes, it's basically like an overview, a PDF file of like what the Republican Party stands for, and one of those things in there is that marriage is only between a man, only between a woman, and like they want to fight against anybody else trying to change that, which is basically trying
they want to overturn the laws to allow gay people to be married.
It's literally
and
on
I'm
the
not
internet.
saying every Republican thinks that, but that is in the official Republican stance.
Yeah, that's something that
our light turned off. Okay, well.
Dang. Anyways, okay, well, we won't get into that. That's totally fine.
Yeah. I just want to say that he is one gay president. There is another gay president who had even gayer damning evidence against him. In fact, it is suspected that the president and the vice president were together. So that's a whole thing. If you want to see a whole video about that, do let me know. Also, Mac and I are about to go film a video on her channel. We're going to be taste testing a bunch of vegan ice cream for you because we do be typical lesbian vegans, okay?
Yeah,
we are.
Plant-based lesbians.
Yes, so if you would like to go see what the best Ben & Jerry's vegan ice creams on the market are, go watch that video. She's going to be talking about all things vegan and travel on her channel.
Yes, vegan, travel, and LGBTQ lifestyle is what my page is going to be, basically.
Yeah, so go give her a follow, go watch her video, I'll link it below. And yeah, I apologize for looking at my notes so much on this video. I'm a little tipsy, and I instantly forgot every single thing that I remembered, okay? I memorized all this shit, and it just, boop, had to check my notes. But I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for tuning in. Go ahead and subscribe to both of us. Like if you like it. Yep. And we'll see ya next week.
Stay gay out there.
Woo! Yeah, cheers to that.